Good evening, everyone. Um, this is Marvin Smith back again once again. I have a upcoming this coming Thursday, September the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. I want to go into the money saving principles. This is basic principles to help you understand from a psychological perspective and my perspective on how you can develop good habits and how you can learn how to without save and understanding learning how to save money. That is the key. However, I'm not a financial expert, but I am an accountant. So I'm going to be talking about certain things that you can do in terms of being able to identify why you can't save. As I mentioned before, we are creatures of habit, and a lot of that we do has been taught to us from the time that we entered our mother's womb and we came outside our mother's womb, and all the people who had a different effects on our lives. The people that we've been around and the people that we've been around, everyone that we come in contact with is a teachable moment. So I always say the master class of life. Life is a classroom where in this classroom you have people which are fellow students, then you have a teacher that comes along and interact with you and teach you life lessons. Those lessons that you learn on your own, you learn from others, or you take someone else's experience and make it yours, make it a teachable moment. So in other words, you're able to go into someone else's life, but not attach yourself to their life and principles, but yet understand that these are teachable moments. So I will be talking about the saving principles. The other thing I'll be talking about also following that, which I would like to get into, is going from an employee, working for somebody, working on your job, and transitioning over to your own business. That's important to know. So I will be talking about that transitioning, transitioning with a plan. Many people don't leave their job or have a plan in place. They act on their emotions. They act on, as I mentioned, their emotions, and a lot of times their emotions come with no plan or strategy. So that's very important. And I also believe that when you are transitioning and going into something, you need to do research about it before you get involved. You hear such thing as multi streams of income, and what that is to me is that you're gonna get down with, let's say, Amway or Prime America, where you're working as an independent sales agent, yet they give you a website. You have to go to these meetings. There is a pyramid. Someone sign you up under them, and then you have to bring people under you. So I'm not saying that this is not good. This is a good way where you are not working by yourself, but you're working as a collective group. So you have a team that you're working with, which creates a system. So that goes back to what I was talking before. Whereas I always use McDonald's as my talking points. When you go into McDonald's, as I mentioned, many of you out there definitely can make a better burger. You make a better chicken sandwich. You make a better fish sandwich. You make better French fries. But when you turn that into a business, when you look at McDonald's itself, even though it's a franchise and you can buy into that franchise, but there's a system in place as far as the menu. What's on the menu? There's the marketing part. There's the location. There's the workers. So McDonald's have a system, and that's why what they did was they was already prepared for before COVID ever came about, because they have what they call a drive-through. So it was easy for McDonald's to make that transition and to respond. The difference between responding and reacting. When you respond to something, you already have a plan of action in place. You already planned this out years and months ago. It was part of your strategy because you saw something in the future. When you react, most of the time you're reacting out of fear, out of an emergency, and your failure to plan and not foresee these things happening. So, in my opinion, just my opinion, this is the reason why a lot of small business went under because they didn't have their paperwork in order, they didn't have their books in order, and they wasn't able to withstand what COVID did. A lot of business went under, went out of business. People lost their business overnight because of COVID, because we had a shutdown. So a lot of business owners did not survive. A lot of landlords who own property cannot survive. So a lot of things, there's a lot of cause and effect behind COVID-19, where a lot of small business went under, and a lot of them are no longer in business. A lot of business went out during the time of George Floyd, when you had the riots in different cities, where there was looting and rioting, and many people were turning their anger on their own community and destroying their own community. So I will be talking about that. I'm excited. I've been invited to. I'm not going to speak on it, but there are people that's reaching out to me, which is a good thing. If you ever told me that a young kid like myself who grew up in Albany Projects in Brooklyn, New York, that I would be invited to be on a radio show, and as I put a video out, Marvin Smith interviews Ruben Ramos. That was in a studio in Brooklyn years ago, community TV. Um, but what it shows that no matter where you're from, you can achieve things. There's no excuse why you don't have. I'm a firm believer of people like to talk about systematic racism, white supremacy. I don't believe in all that. I believe that is an excuse that many black people use to why they can't make progress. You're depending on others to do for you. That's my belief. I've never gone through racism. A matter of fact, and I always tell this story. Yes, I am black. Does racism exist in this world? Yes, it do. There's racism in all nations. But for me, the people that helped me get to where I had to go in my career, I had to stand on my principles and morals of truth. I'm not going to lie just to be part of something or be fair of something. No, I'm going to tell the truth. So there was a young man by the name of Ricardo. He was white, and we used to go to Fifth Avenue Gym. And when I was going for my driving test, because I at that time I attended automotive high school, and when I was going for my driving test, and what did I take my drive? I think in Red Hook, I took my driving test, and he loaned me his car. Ricardo, he loaned me his car, and that's how I was able to get my driver's license. And this is what I'm talking about. When I got my first bookkeeping job, I was given that chance by a guy by the name of Hal. And Hal was the office manager at Radiology Film Reading Services. Did I have experience in bookkeeping at that time? No, I didn't. I was a messenger. And I believe that's when my daughter was born. Back during that time, or before she was born, I was a messenger because I had got laid off from Sober Technology, where I worked at when I started off in '89 up to like around '94. So it was Hal who was the office manager at that time for Radiology Film Reading Services. So Dr. Gottesman, Dr. Joseph Gottesman, and Hal, they was Jewish. And Dr. Gottesman owned the practice. He was a radiologist. He's a doctor, but he went into radiology, studying reading radiology film like MRIs, CAT scans, regular X-rays, and he had clients throughout the city, throughout New York City, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island, and he had a big contract with the health department. So they had several clinics in Staten Island, Brooklyn, their Fort Greene area, downtown Brooklyn, on Atlantic Avenue, 3rd Avenue, Queens Plaza. So we had a big contract with them. So he gave me my opportunity to become a bookkeeper. And then that's when QuickBooks first came out. I was given that opportunity. Then I met another man by the name of Paul Adams, who was a CPA. He was white. He gave me the opportunity to work independently by taking a chance on me. So there's been so many people who have been beneficial in my life, whether it's black or white, from India. So God has truly blessed me to put people in my life, like my father, my mother, my sisters, and my stepmom and them. But God has truly blessed me to come to a full circle where a lot of people have been beneficial in my life. So I will not get up here and say, well, it's white supremacy because no man, woman, or race is superior than me. For the God that's in me is the God that I serve. For God has no personality except for in me and as me. I am the representation of God, walking in my truth, walking in my truth, in my ideology, in my philosophy, being the man that I am, and being the man that I stand on as a man, on principles and morals. So for me, many of my people, black people, I feel they make excuses to why they don't have. Yet we have black on black crime in our communities. Yes, black people, black men are going to suppliers to bring the drugs back to their community. But we're not having that truthful conversation. That has nothing to do with white supremacy. We have to take ownership of what our people do. That is the key. When you can have that type of conversation, now you're making progress. Don't blame others to what don't blame other people why you haven't achieved anything. The Lord said, Hosea 4:6, my people were destroyed for the lack of what? Knowledge. Many of our people are lacking knowledge. And as I mentioned on the prior live stream that I did, Money Rejection Complex Part 2, I talked about how many people, when they leave school, they don't pick up a book again. They don't read. So pretty much, they're not getting knowledge. They're being spoon fed by what society is telling them and teaching them. They're not thinking for themselves. So for me, it's all about self determination, self preservation, self love, self respect, self reflection, self knowledge, self wisdom, self understanding. And when you understand these things, what happened, no matter what the situation is, if you have faith, first you must believe in yourself. You can move mountains. That was a parable. The mountains represent what's in your way. And many people have mountains. What are some people mountains? Some people are addicted to drugs. That's their mountain. Many people are addicted to what? Alcohol. That's their mountain. So if you have faith and believe in who you are and what you stand for, you can move whatever's in front of you, you're able to move it. Even though at times it might seem difficult. At times you are going to fail. At times you're going to fall, but it's how you get back up. At times people are going to say no to you, but sometimes no means next opportunity. And I've learned this in life. What we say is all about timing. Sometimes it ain't meant for us to say certain things in certain situations. I've learned that. Prime example, when a person's going through something, many people have a habit of saying, well, you know what? Offering them prayer and advice. But if a person who's about to get evicted and about to lose their home or their apartment, your words at that moment is not helping them unless you're giving them the money or the resources that will not allow them to be evicted from their home. A lot of time when a person is going through something and you come along, sometimes the best advice is silence. And I've learned that every situation at times don't call for you to give advice. You gotta listen. I'm gonna go something deep. I'm gonna go deeper. Every situation don't call for you to be truthful. You might be in a situation where you have to judge it correctly. And that's why I love this book called 48 Powers, written by Robert Greene. It is great literature. The 48 Laws of Power, a great, powerful book. Then he has the 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. That's another book that I read. And this is all talking about power, the understanding of power and how people work. It says one thing it says in the book, it says in 48 Powers of Law that everyone has an insecurity about themselves. Then another part of it says that what? Never outshine your master. So what does that mean? Many of you go to your job and your boss is intimidated by you. And the people that's on your job, you're competing against them. And everyone has an insecurity. And a lot of times when people find that you're intelligent, they will either work with you or work against you. But many of you go on your job, you talk too much. You tell everybody what your plans are. Tell everybody that you're unhappy. So you don't know how to move in silence on your job. Sometimes it's better to hold back. Why? Because it said, never outshine your master. Your master is your boss that's above you because your master will despise you. He might despise you based on how people like you, how people take to you, or your presence in the room. He's intimidated. He or she is intimidated by that. So you must learn how to move and navigate in life. So as I mentioned, I think this my live stream and being able to talk. And as I mentioned, growing up, I was shy. But when I got out there and interact with people, I realized that God gave me a gift of speech, being able to talk. And I learned that and along that journey, I was able to take criticism. At time I didn't like it. At time I became defensive. I became sensitive. Okay? Because a lot of times you're trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. You're trying to impress everybody. And the people that's around you are the most critical people around you. And the reason why a lot of you don't make it and the reason why a lot of you are not successful is because you're looking for approval from the people that's around you. And these been the same people who have disappointed you all your life. But yet, you are seeking their approval. They have become your God. They are your judge and jury. So if it's not if they don't approve it, then you doubt yourself. That's what the Lord said. He hates a double-minded man. What is to be double-minded? That means one, you can't make up your mind, and others are making up their mind for you. You say one thing and you do another. You're unstable. You're unstable by your ways and your thoughts and your actions. So, as I mentioned before, growing up, being in this position to work hard, own a business, um, do the live streams. I've done Black Radio with Gloria Waldron. If she's listening, I want to send my love out to her. She gave me an opportunity to be on her show when it was in Court Street, right there in Brooklyn Heights. And Gloria Waldron, who's like a mom to me, she used to have me on her show. Dr. Ernest Bonaparte, who was a clinical psychologist, on that same show, on that same station, All Black Radio, I used to be on his show. So God always put me in places to meet people, and for people to give me an opportunity. And when I did get that opportunity, I made the most of it. So now, being who I am and how people gravitate towards me, Christ said, "Let your light shine," but I try to dim my light. Why? Because I'm a private person, and I enjoy being by myself. That's why my circle is small. I'm not a type of man that's into gossip. Um, you won't hear me gossiping about the Bible. People say that Marvin talking about him. I don't get involved in that kind of stuff. I have my ways. I can be moody, um, of that nature. I can be straightforward. Sometimes people can't take it. Kind of like my father with it. But I've also learned that there's a time and place for that also. So, as I mentioned, I'm looking forward to the money saving principles. Um, how I myself, I'm going to use as an example when I talk about how tough it was to save money. Um, really, it was. It was really tough. Um, and my whole life changed from a money perspective when I listened to Reverend Ike. Many of you out there, if you don't know who Reverend Ike is, Reverend Ike was a flamboyant black evangelist during the say 60s and 70s, even during the civil rights movement with Malcolm and Martin, and then you had the Black Panthers and many other groups at that time during the civil rights movement for freedom, justice, and equality for black people in this country, for us at that time, even coming from the Jim Crow era. So Reverend Ike, you can see him on YouTube. He's no longer with us. He died a couple of years ago. He had a church in Washington Heights. So one day I was working in media, Pennsylvania, for a lawyer. I was doing some accounting work, and I came home. It was like around the holidays, Christmas. I always knew about Reverend Ike as a boy because he would come on the radio and he would come on television. Like there was another one by the name of Frederick Price. But Reverend Ike was flamboyant with the Rolls Royce, the jewelry, the perm hair. However, about 4 or 5 years ago, I came home and I said, you know what? I'm gonna listen to him. And when this is what I always tell people, when people don't like a person, you need to go check that person out. When people are talking about how they don't like a person, you need to go check that person out. You'll be surprised. So when I heard Reverend Ike and he talked about, which I always repeat, health, happiness, prosperity, success, money, and the abundance of all things, him being an evangelist, a preacher, he didn't come from a theologian perspective. Where a lot of preachers go, they go to theologian philosophy, and they go to school to become a preacher. Reverend Ike did do that. So he called it the cemetery, walking in a dead state of mind. So Reverend Ike, who was listening to Norman Peale, was representing the power of thought. Reverend Ike came out with his own philosophy called the science of living, and said that the Bible, he saw the Bible as a book of psychology, self-image psychology. And when I listened to him, and he loved talking about money, and he made no secret about it. But when he put it into perspective, that it's all a mindset. And when I changed, and that changed my mindset about how I feel and how I feel and think about money, my life changed. Because during 2016, for you don't know, I also read numerology and I know astrology and I do numerology numbers. I don't. A lot of people don't know that. I don't share a lot. Now I'm sharing it with you. I read, like I said, I read a lot of books. In 2016, when you add it up, 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 6 is 9. 9 represent new beginnings, and that was a year of the new beginnings for me. That was a year when I really came into more of my manhood as a man because I went through a lot that year, 2016. I went through a lot to the way I am today. It's totally different. Um, and a lot of time when you go through things in life, there's a self discovery. Remember, I said that when we sit in our mother's womb, we all have a birthright. We are who we are is what our father and mother is, and we are a reflection of them. And I heard this one said, we come out looking like our parents. However, we die by our choices that we make in life. So for me, Reverend Knight, at that time, what I was into, um, can you imagine if I would have had this knowledge, let's say 15, 20, 30 years ago? Um, just the perspective on just life itself and how I think. And now when I look at it, all the work that I put in, I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor. I don't have to go into all of it, but I'm really enjoying the fruits of my labor. And I have a caption that says, and I have pictures on my wall. I'm a man of knowledge. I have flowers in my house. I have art. I have pictures. And I have a lot of wise sayings. And one of the sayings that it says that when where where there is love in the home, there is joy in the heart. Where there is love in the home, there is joy in the heart. And I have another saying, picture here. It says here, and I think this is from Proverbs. By wisdom, a house is built. The house is talking about you. We are the house. What are we building our house with? It should be built with what? Wisdom. And by the understanding of the wisdom that we have attained, it shall be established. And there's a wise saying in the Bible where it says, when the wind, when the house is built on sand or rock. The house is talking about you are the house. The wind represents life, trials and tribulations, and things that you're gonna go through. The sand represents what? It has there's no foundation beneath your feet. That's what that means. The sand represents what? There's no foundation beneath your feet. So when the wind blow on it, you're gonna be moved by trials and tribulations. The house that is built on solid rock. Now the rock, it says symbolic to Christ, but I'm gonna take it on a deeper level. The rock is actually you. For the God that's in you is the God that you serve. So you're the house, and the rock, the foundation, the rock represents the foundation that's beneath you. That's what you stand on. So once you obtain this wisdom, that's why the Lord said that what? You should know the truth. You should know your truth as you know it, not someone else. You shall seek and find your truth of deliverance. Because guess what? It's all about self-preservation. Every man must seek that very thing that he's looking for. Every man must seek his own soul salvation, his own deliverance. Whether you're a Muslim, 5%, whatever it is, and what you believe in. That is your salvation. So by wisdom, a house is built. And by understanding, it's established. I said the house is who? Us. We're the house. And by knowledge, the rooms, I compare the mind to a house. Your brain is like a house. It has many rooms in it. There's a room of wisdom. There's a room of understanding. There's a room of courage. There's a room of faith. There's a room of hope. There's a room of fear. There's a room of evil. There's a room of jealousy. The rooms are filled with precious and pleasant riches. What is the precious and pleasant riches? That's why I said that what? You should know the tree that beareth the fruit. This is the outcome of the hard work that you put in. Because everywhere you go, you are planting a seed. And in due time, that seed that you plant shall harvest. It shall come to pass and manifest itself, and that shall be the outcome of the work that you what? Plant. And that's why many of you, another word for networking is you're planting the seed. And a lot of you out there, you don't know how to communicate. I find that this generation, as far as social media and texting, many of you people get on Facebook and you tell all your business. Many of you don't talk to your family on the phone. You don't talk anymore. You text. In my opinion, talking builds up this. Talking allows you to listen, respond, and have a conversation. Texting, on the other hand, to me has no rhythm. What I mean by that is that what? It's like you're talking to a woman. I'd rather talk to her on the phone so that she can hear my voice, that my voice is entering into her mind and create space within her mind where I shall have real estate. I'm building in her mind versus texting. So with this day and age with social media, we're living in a society where we only communicate through a third party. Many people, if you walk up in the street and sat next to them, they might give you an attitude. I don't know you. I don't talk to strangers. But meanwhile, they'll ask you for a friend request on Facebook. Basically, I don't talk to strangers, but yet many of you will get on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever you use to take photos of yourself, and you tell all your business. And everyone and anyone is looking at social media. So many of us, we don't talk to our family members. We will communicate with them through Facebook. We don't pick up the phone and say happy birthday. No, we'll set a feed through Facebook and say, well, this is so-and-so birthday. And guess what? Everybody's going to reply. Where back before there was Facebook, you had to get on the phone and wish somebody a happy birthday. Nowadays, you communicate through a third party. You don't even talk to each other. You don't even know how each other feel in the physical. And a lot of people, that's how we communicate. On your job, you do emails. We don't talk no more verbally. So I believe that the more we rely on social media, the more we rely on texting. And I'm gonna tell you something. There's been a lot of misunderstanding and arguments and fights over text messaging. Really over a verbal conversation. So I'm not talking about an altercation. I'm talking about a conversation. So many of you will upload videos on Instagram. A lot of you women, you're on there every day. Some of you 30 and 40 years old, trying to live out, recapture your youth, showing off your body. Meanwhile, you're not thinking about identity theft. And that's how people catfish and use your image. Go watch Dr. Phil. I've seen a couple of episodes of that happening. But many of you have been conditioned to feel so comfortable that you will degrade yourself on Facebook. You tell all your business. Everybody's watching. But yet, a lot of you say, well, you're private. You got women 50, 60 years old, twerking, men acting foolish on Facebook. I'm so tired of relationship conversations. That's why there's more people single today than ever. Why? Because nobody wants to be together. We have all these dating apps, all these dating group discussions. I feel that man and woman is more divided than ever. Why? Because what you're talking about, as long as man and woman exist, if you have experience with women, there's always going to be arguments. There's always going to be disagreements. Like Solomon said, there is nothing new under the sun in Ecclesiastes. So the very thing that you're trying to avoid, you can't avoid because it's called human interaction. There's going to be disagreements. There's always been physical violence. That ain't nothing new. Verbal misunderstanding between man and woman or man and man, whatever you choose to be in. That's never going to go away. Why? Because as long as you're human, you have feelings. Right. So there's every day there's a discussion or people getting on Facebook asking about their relationships. Why? Because the law says here, the double-minded man. Many of you can't make up your mind because Facebook has become your God. I say once again, Facebook has become your God. You worship Facebook and you're more on Facebook than you are interacting with your families and friends. So I don't want to go on much longer, but I want to say that I'm starting to enjoy this. And I'll talk like maybe twice or once a month. I can't see myself doing this every week. But I wanted to get on tonight and just say that what's coming up this coming Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When we talk about the money saving principles. And as I mentioned, what I'm speaking about is not a magic pill. Many people are given the poison, and many people are giving you the poison and selling you the cure because they're manipulating you through love, health, and wealth. A lot of you out here just chasing every diet that comes out, and it's not working. Every day someone is coming up with a new diet, a new ideology and philosophy. 1 minute you're doing no carbs. The next minute you're on a liquid fast. You're always doing something. Because why? Everyone is selling you wealth. They're giving you the poison and selling you the cure. Not all of it's bad. Just like love. Everybody on YouTube or dating coach, pickup artists, pimps and hoes giving out relationship advice. Red pill, black pill, blue pill, this pill, that pill. Why? Because everybody's giving you what? The poison and selling you the cure. A lot of you lack confidence in yourself. So we're living in a world where we're living in the information age, which is the world of technology. Whoever thought that the cell phone would be one of the greatest inventions? Many of you are more affectionate with your cell phone than your partner. You hold your cell phone more than you hold your wife or your husband or your kids. Now you take your cell phone to bed with you. You go to the bathroom with it. I see people walking the dog and look at the cell phone at the same time. Or you in the men in the bathroom and they stand up peeing and got the cell phone in their hand. I guess they look whatever they're looking at. It's ridiculous. You go out on a date and the woman that you're with, as if you allow that type of stuff, she's on her cell phone. She's on Facebook or Tinder, swiping left and right. While you ordering the meal, she's swiping left and right. She can't stay off the phone. So the phone has become an addiction. Remember I said we're creatures of habit. We can't live without this phone. Our life is in this phone. And I always say that you can leave your wallet home. Why? Because your wallet is on Google Play. You can put your credit card and debit cards on Google Pay. Go to the pump or McDonald's or any restaurant except Google Pay, Apple Pay, and Samsung Pay, and then hold your phone. It'll read it. And guess what? You don't need to pull out your debit card when you go to Wells Fargo Bank to withdraw money or deposit money. Hold your phone up there. Go to Google Pay, which is a virtual wallet. Hold your phone up there. All you got to do is put your PIN number in. You can make a transaction. You can make a withdrawal or a deposit at your bank. You go to Wawa or you go to Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's, you don't got to pull out your debit card no more or your credit card. Why? If you have a virtual wallet with all your credit and debit cards, hold your phone there. And what? If you have money on your cards, you're going to use your phone as a checkout. And then you get a receipt. Or you get a receipt text to you. Whatever. So the world that we're living in, I say the cell phone, and there's nothing new under the sun. It's always been here. It's a telephone. It's communication. And it's the greatest thing. As I mentioned, you can lose your wallet. but you can't lose your cell phone. We're so addicted to our cell phone. It's amazing. And I put a challenge to you. I guarantee you, many of you out there cannot remember 5 phone numbers on your own. Because your cell phone do everything. You call on Alexa, you call on Google Assistant. So that's why I feel this generation here has been dumbed down by social media. They are so reliant on social media that many of you cannot go function without Facebook or Instagram or Twitter just for an hour or 2 hours. Even when we at work, we're picking up the cell phone, putting it in our lap, going on Facebook, doing whatever. We're distracted. It's a habit. It's a bad habit. I'm surprised they don't have cell phone rehab. A lot of us have to go cold turkey. I'm being honest. It might sound funny to you, but it is true. How many you can put your cell phone on? How many you can walk out of your house for a day without it? You will go crazy if you didn't have your cell phone. I guarantee. Half of you would probably drop dead if you had that phone. I'm talking, leave your phone for a day. Don't even take it. Leave it at home and see what will happen. Wow, we use our cell phone. If you have a car, you use what? Google Maps or Waze. If you want to check online banking, where do you go? On your phone. If you want to watch television, where do you go? On your phone. You get a virtual wallet where you can put on your ID and carry that virtual wallet, leave your actual physical wallet home. You can show your insurance card and your driver's license through your phone. You use your phone as a flashlight. I can use my phone to turn on my car. Wow. You can use your phone to what? Become a remote control as far as your television or any smart, say you have a smart appliance or smart security. Now you can use your phone to do what? See, you have home security, you can watch it through your phone. Whoever thought that we would live in this kind of world where our phone is that powerful? Is that powerful? You pay your bills through the phone. You go directly into your credit card, pay your credit cards like Capital One or Discover or American Express. Download their app, you go online, you pay the bill. You go to online banking on your phone. You do Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, Square, all on your phone. The only thing your phone can't do is become a romantic, become your husband or wife. They're gonna come out with that. I won't be surprised. But like I'm being funny about it, but that's what we're doing on an everyday basis. Everyday basis. Our phone is our God. And many people worship their phone. Leave your phone home for a day. I guarantee you, the first thing you do when you get home, you won't even take off your clothes or get relaxed or pay attention to your children. You're going to run right to your phone. You're going to check your Facebook, text message, Instagram. Leave your phone home for a day. A day. Don't even take it with you to work or anywhere. You can't do it. I guarantee you can't do it. Guarantee. I'll put that challenge to anybody out there. Leave your cell phone home for a day. And I guarantee you will go crazy within a half an hour. Why? Because it's an addiction. And I'm surprised they don't have cell phone rehab. Cell phone addiction is worse than drugs. It's an addiction. But I want to say to everyone out there, if you didn't know, as I mentioned, there are tax deadlines. Those who are in a partnership or have an S corp, the tax deadline was March. The tax file was March 15th. You filed a 6 months extension. You had which was yesterday, September the 15th, to do the filings. October 15th is for the C corp. September 30th is for estate planning taxes. And November is like the last month for nonprofit filings. So as I mentioned before, and also yesterday was the third quarter for estimated quarterly taxes that was due, which was on 9/15. The next one is due on, I believe, on January 17th, which is for the fourth quarter. So it's a very important to pay the estimated taxes. What that's going to do is help reduce your tax liability at the when you file next year, or it might allow you to break even. So you can do estimated quarterly tax on the federal, state, and the local level. And if you're in the state of Florida, you don't pay state taxes. Or Tennessee, you don't pay state taxes. Or New Hampshire, you don't pay state taxes. Texas, you don't pay state tax. Nevada, you don't pay state taxes. But as I mentioned before, those that have to pay the estimated quarterly tax, they was due on what? September the 15th, which is the third quarter. All right, so everyone have a good night. Talk to you later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be strong, be safe, watch as well as pray. Don't walk out here acting a fool. Watch and study your surroundings. A lot of you walking out here with your headphones on in your ear. Many so focused on your phone that someone could come and slap you right across your head. You wouldn't even know about it because you're not watching and observing your surroundings. A lot of you walking out here, you're so distracted by your cell phone. You're so distracted by putting headphones in your ear. If you live in an area where there's high crime, like Brownsville or North Philly, South Philly, Southwest Philly, Compton, Chicago, Detroit, where these dangerous places are, you need to be aware of your surroundings. You don't walk outside with headphones in your ear listening to music. You need to be aware of your surroundings. You don't walk out there constantly looking at your phone because those things are a distraction. You should be doing those things in your home. I remember growing up as a kid, we heard music where? In the home. There was no Walkman until Walkman came out in the 80s. Prior to that, there was no Walkman or MP3 or cell phone we listen to music on. You had to come home and listen to music inside the house. Back during that time, we had to go to the arcade and play video games. And I think the worst that they ever did was when they came out with Atari, Sega Genesis, and started playing games at home. That was one of the worst things that was ever created. When we was young, we had to go to the arcade where we played Miss Pac-Man, Stargate Defender, Space Invaders, Mr. Pac-Man, Pac-Man regular, Miss Pac-Man. So we had to go outside the home and go to the arcade game where we take $1, get 4 quarters, we play the pinball machine and all that. So that made that we was more active. When they came out with video games, you have grown-ass men who 30 and 40 years old playing Xbox while their woman is going out there working and they're not being contributed and they're not being an asset, but they become a liability in the home. And I think that stuff has destroyed manhood. I'm not saying you can't play games, but there are some men that be on the games from the time they wake up in the morning, they don't brush their teeth, they don't wash their ass, they're on the video games. So while the wife is going to work, or your sons should be in school or working on something, by the time you leave out in the morning and come back home, they're on that same where you left them at, on that couch or in their room playing video games. When we was younger, back in the 70s, early 80s, there was the arcade games. We had to go to the arcade. And the arcade was a store where they had what? Games. Pinball machine. Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Space Invader, Centipede. We had different games. So we had to go outside the house and go to the arcade. And to me, that was better. But the world changed during the information age, which came in, what, after 1979. We went from the industrial age into the information age, which we have now, which is the world of technology. So I want to say good night to everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Talk to you later.